Hi, I'm Ellen Violette, and I'm so excited that you're here because we're getting into the holiday season and it's been kind of crazy, but I was thinking, how can I kick off the holiday with a nice giving spirit? And I thought, I'm going to do this call. So I wanted to answer questions, any questions that people have. I've missed everybody. People who've been on my list for a long time know I used to do these like all the time, lots of webinars. And it may seem like I've been missing in action this year, but I've really been working really hard and doing a lot of studying. And I thought today I could also share some of my insights and what I've learned with you guys. And then I'm going to share a free offer with you, something I have coming up, and a special gift that will not be on the replay. So that's the agenda for today. So Christina, you had told me that you had a lot of questions. So you want to start asking me some questions?
Oh my gosh, I'm
Oh,
going to
wait a
pass
minute.
on
Oh
that.
yeah, I did
Okay,
record
can you
this.
hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
I'm going to actually pass on that because I, am wanting to get my feet wet in your program
Okay.
first, and then from that will emerge questions in a more orderly fashion. Because right now I have questions like all over the place,
Okay. Well,
so
let me
I need some structure.
Okay, well, let me just say that what Christina is talking about is she had told me that she needed some help with a writing program, and I actually gave her something that's not on the Black Friday page. So I will put it up there, but it's a 10 course module, 10 module course, I should say, Rapid Book Creation Secrets. So I did that last year, and I decided to offer it at the pre-launch price, and it comes with the bestseller title course as well. So I wasn't planning to say that right now, but since you brought it up.
Yeah, so that's what I mean about, getting my feet wet in that, and then,
Yeah. Yeah.
my questions, I have plenty.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm going to also introduce Lil. So we were talking a little bit before this started, and Lil does ghostwriting. So I thought, and she's in my group, in my Facebook group. So I thought it's always great to learn about what other people do because you never know where there's synergy and where you can help each other.
Right.
So why don't you just tell people quickly what you do in case anybody's interested?
Yeah, so I'm the Vice President of Longbar Creative Solutions, and we are a business development, business strategy company. I'm part of my part in the company, being Vice President, I handle right now I handle all the technological projects, but I'm handing that off to our admin next year so I can focus on the writing, which is primarily my bailiwick. Ghostwrite books. I will develop books with people. I coach one-on-one with people who are working on a book, more or less to have them do the writing with me, sort of.
Yeah, well, let me ask you a question about that because I've interviewed some podcast guests who do have publishing companies, and they seem to have specialties. Do you guys have a specialty?
When it comes to the publishing side of things, since we are a hybrid publisher,
Mm-hmm.
the difference between real quick, obviously traditional publishing is very difficult these days.
Mm-hmm.
And you promise them thousands and thousands of books, and they take a lot of your money anyway.
Right.
Since Create Space is gone, it's become more difficult to self-publish unless you happen to be a graphic artist. We're the middle, man. We're hybrid publishers, so we do everything that you would have done for yourself for a fee. And then, of course, we have editors who edit your book if you want copy editing or proofreading. But let's say your book's perfect and you bring it to us and you're ready to go, but it doesn't have a book, ISBN number, you don't have the typeset, the interior.
Right. So that's where we overlap because we do all that too. Yeah.
Yeah, we do most of that work. That's a hybrid publisher. That's what a hybrid.
Yeah. So the difference between a hybrid and a regular publisher and a self-publisher, like what I do, is the hybrids, you still take some royalties.
No, none.
Oh, you
No, we
don't?
don't take it. No, we
Oh,
do.
okay, good. Okay, because most
Flat fee.
hybrids, okay, flat fee, because most hybrids do take a fee. They
Yeah,
take
no,
a
we
fee
take
for
no royalties. It goes on
great.
your income spark and all
Great,
that.
because we don't either. I do not believe in doing that, and that comes from my background of being a songwriter, being in the
Oh,
music
really? You
business for,
songwriter?
yeah, I'm a
Very
Grammy-nominated
cool.
songwriter. And
Nice.
yeah, and getting 10 cents a record while everybody else got rich.
May we ask what song?
Yeah, it's called I Could Get Used to This by Diane Scher. And the album
Cool.
was nominated for a Grammy in 1990 or 1991, somewhere around there.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Who
Yeah.
was the artist? I'm sorry.
Diane Scher, she's a jazz artist.
Oh, cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So anyway, so that's where I come from, where, you know, the creatives don't get paid, and I just found that really annoying. And so I decided that I would never take publishing from other people. Um, the only time I've done anything even similar to that is with a collaboration book, but that's a whole nother kind of book.
Yeah, it
So,
really stems from the fact that we have really good graphic artists. So we
mm-hmm.
do. We wind up giving people. Most people want a website as well, so we'll build them a website and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Hi, Cher.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Trying to stay not wet, and it's
Yeah.
cold in Mobile. It's rained all day.
Where are you? Where are you? It's raining?
Mobile, Alabama, top of the Gulf Coast. Yes, how are you, Lil?
Good. How are you?
Do you guys know each other?
We do now.
Okay, great. Oh, that's so funny. So I was telling everybody that this started out, you know, one of those things where everything that could go wrong did. So I wasn't able to send the email out yesterday when I wanted to, because Infusionsoft wouldn't let me. But I still decided to move forward. So I have some really great stuff to share with people. I was hoping that if people had questions, I would ask them. Oh, hello, Christina.
Yeah, I thought
Yes,
I'd
Christine.
become visible now that I'm done with my meal here.
But if nobody has any questions, I'll go right into just sharing some of what I've learned. I've been heavily into learning mode this year. We still have Jill is going to join us. Here she comes. Jill?
Oh my goodness.
So are you guys all students of Ellen's? Is that you're all students?
Everybody's
Hi, Jill.
Hi, Jill.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to meet you. We're all from Facebook. We're all from Facebook, and Christina just bought one of my programs on book writing, but yeah.
Very cool.
And a lot of my clients are friends, and friends are clients and colleagues, and everybody's all sort of mixed into one now. You know,
I know most of my ghostwriting comes from somebody I ghostwrote for. It's all referral at this point. I hardly ever.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
getting started to promote that more, but most of the books I write, because I wrote a book for somebody, I wrote, and they told somebody, and they told somebody, and you know,
Right. Yeah, mine was
More
mostly
books, yeah.
referral too. Yeah. So Jill, do you have any questions before I'm just going to go into some of the things I've been
Yeah.
learning? And okay, great.
Sure. I just published my book.
All
So
right. Yay.
Yay!
Congrats.
Yay!
All right.
And I guess thank you so much for Christina for actually connecting me with you.
Oh, yeah.
I guess my question is about keywords because
My specialty. Yeah.
really, I put in, stress management, health, fitness, self-help, but I was trying, and I also had resilience, immune function, but
Mm.
I hit number 1 this summer on the pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I launched on the 17th, it hit number 6 in paperback, and like number 30, I think, or so maybe 13 in
That's excellent.
abstract,
Yeah.
in ebook, I think. But I just didn't know, if you had any other thoughts, and I really appreciate, again, you inviting me, well, Christina, for connecting me and for inviting me.
Yeah. Well, I can give you some tips. It's kind of the way that I do it is that, and I've been working with clients doing Kindle since 2013. All my clients have been number 1. But what I have found by going through there's some hacks that you can use, and there's also, like when I work with people, I have like a process that I take them through, and I do a lot of research for them and with them, and I show them how I do it. But on a call like this, one thing I would say is I go in and I put in the words that I think people would be looking for. And that's based on, if I were my client, basically, if I were the person looking for this, what would I look up? And then the other thing is asking people, who are your ideal clients? If you were looking for a book on this, what would you look up? And then I take those words, and what I'll do is I'll look for bestsellers. So it's like if books are selling, if there are books that are bestsellers already, it's kind of a clue that at least you have the potential to be a bestseller, right? Because there are some where it's like they're just not selling. They're just some titles and some topics that don't sell very well, and there's not a lot of
Well,
interest in them. But stress is huge. Stress is
so,
huge.
and
So
so, I mean, so stress management is the major category.
right. So
And it's also diet, meditate, exercise. Those are things that are in there.
right. So you can go to all of those. Now, do you know that you can actually have, well, yeah, 7. You only get 7 there. But one of the things that you can do is that when I make the list, I look at, okay, I've got the 7 words I can put keywords in. But then
Right.
I've also got my title and I've also got my subtitle. So you can put some of the words in there. But then there's something else that you can do in Kindle that you might have noticed when you go and look at other people's books, which is that sometimes you'll see a parentheses after the subtitle and it'll have words. It'll have more words there.
Well, I'm not trying to understand on the book.
No, on the Kindle page or on the Amazon page.
Uh-huh.
So it'll say the title and it'll say the subtitle, and then in parentheses, it'll have more words after that.
Interesting.
Okay. And that's how they're getting more keywords in there. That's one of the little tricks, because you only get 7 to put in the keyword section.
Right.
Okay. So if you have more, you can put some of them there. And then also, I mean, it's too late with yours because, I mean, you have your title and subtitle, but it's not too late to go in and add a sub, which is putting some more keywords right in there.
You mean it on the actual page?
On the actual page, yeah.
And I have a description.
Yeah, but let me see if I can quickly find one to show you.
I'm sorry, I'm just not sure I understand.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find something to show you. Also, when I say look for bestsellers, you got to be really careful with that, because you can have 2 things that come up with the same keyword, but they're not really the same. So for instance, if I were to look up reflexology, for instance, I once had a client and she was trying to decide if she wanted to write a book on reflexology for toddlers or for teens.
Yeah.
And when we went and looked in there, like the books that were for teens were selling for way more money than the ones for toddlers. So she decided to go with the one for teens, at least to start. So, and you have to make sure that when you look at all those titles and you're saying, okay, well, this one's a bestseller, but is it really the same topic as mine? Right? Is this really the same? Because sometimes they're not really the same, even though they both have.
And more focused is what you're saying? So
yeah,
like
their focus is different.
Right. Like stress management for, teenagers would be, or 8th graders would be different than stress management for adults.
Right, exactly. So, or sometimes they're even really different. I mean, sometimes it's, for dogs or for, right, something completely different that you have no,
What's your Jill? What's your target? Who's your avatar?
Wait, sorry, what?
Who is your avatar for that?
Who's your ideal client?
But ideally women 30, 40, 50, 60, that, and then and men can read it too. But for women, who are trying to manage stress, and the thesis behind the book, if I may, so it's called "Don't Mess with Stress." Is it okay if I talk about this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
As long as you don't mind other people hearing it, because it's a
I'm talking
recording.
to Lil.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's called "Don't Mess with Stress: A Simple Guide to Managing Stress, Optimizing Health, and Making the World a Better Place." And up here, it's gain control of your mind. And the thesis is that each of the letters DMWS stands for the core 4 in the foundation, which is diet, meditate, walk, move, exercise, dance, and sleep. And my thesis is that you have to have a foundation to build resilience, and then you also need your mind, to manage everything. And my theory is that when people feel good about themselves, mind, body, and spirit, they're more apt to be nicer to their fellow man and human.
Right. They're not as grumpy.
Right. It's nicer, and there's like a pay it forward kind of thing, and ultimately make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's
Well,
really,
one good thing is that you have health in there, and that's a big keyword. So that's good. And you have mind in there. So.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I put all these keywords in, but so we'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
So I'm looking on the page just under stress. And for instance, this one says a mindfulness-based stress reduction workbook. And then in parentheses, it says a new Harbinger self-help workbook. So why did they do that? Why did they say stress reduction workbook and then they said self-help workbook? Well, because they must have seen that self-help was a good keyword.
Right. So I have mine self-help and also stress man. It's like
Okay, but do you see what I'm saying? What they did
yeah,
was they put it in parentheses, so it's not on the title of the book, but
right.
it's on Kindle.
I see.
So they were
So
able to add something to it there, that so that
I see.
they could get another keyword in there, or sometimes people use it just to better explain more about exactly what the book's about. So there are different reasons why people do it, but that is one of the reasons for doing it.
Okay.
You know, here's
Thank you.
another.
So, like,
Uh,
do the words in the title, do they automatically become keywords,
oh
or
yeah,
you
they
have,
are keywords.
they
Absolutely.
are? Oh,
Yeah, they are
And they
keywords.
tell you, Kindle says, Kindle Publishing says, don't put those. You're given like seven, Ellen said, seven
Right.
nights, and they say don't put your title words in those keywords because it's
Right.
all.
There, yeah, you use separate ones because otherwise you're just, yeah, you're wasting them,
Yeah.
oh,
Right. I
But
guess if you're focused
but
on stress,
another hack which I use, but this is more for before you write your title, because you've already done it. But one of the things that I'll do, like let's say here I'm looking at stress management. One of the things that, as I said, the first one was I see a bestseller, which is let that shit go.
Mhm.
That's one of them. And that one actually, in parentheses, after the title says Zen as fuck journals. Well, that helps them. That helps them get journals in there. That's another
I
keyword that,
good.
although that isn't great because they have journal in the title, so it's not that different. But anyway, in this one, there's one, two. There's another one called Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. There's another one, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And
oh,
if
that's a popular one.
yeah, and if you look at those, they all are about stress. 10% Happier Revised Edition. Um, so this one has, several, and there yours is. This one has several bestsellers, so that's really good. But the other thing that you can do to try to find keywords that maybe you hadn't thought of is I'll look at the other titles,
Mhm.
because it's like, why reinvent the wheel? There's reasons why people have done what they've already done, right? There's a reason for
Mm.
that. So like this one is, habits for stress management in everyday life,
Mhm.
winging it, stop thinking, start doing, um, creating a happy life, relaxation. So all
Relaxing.
these different words,
Mm.
burnout. So let's
Right.
say burnout's a good word. Let's say I didn't have burnout in my title or my subtitle. Well, that's a word I might want to put in parentheses, because that's the only place I have left. Or maybe I'd want to change one of my 7 keywords to burnout if one of the other ones, wasn't doing all that well. And this one's a bestseller.
I just wonder where in the Kindle, where do you put those parentheses? Because I'm not sure. I have a description already there. I'm trying
Mhm.
to think what box, when
Oh,
you,
it's right on the end of the title.
I see.
I can show you. I don't know if it's going to screw up this recording or anything. I can
Oh, are
try
you going to
this.
do one of those?
Share,
I
share
love
the
it when you
screen.
do a share screen.
Yeah, I'll do a share
Oh, that, I
screen.
always
How's
find
that?
that so exciting.
Huh?
I
I'll
always find that so
I'll
exciting.
try. I'll try. We'll see what
I know,
happens.
because it's always like
All
kind
right,
of,
let's see.
will it happen or not?
All right.
Here
Can
we
you
go.
see?
Oh, yay. Okay.
Okay, so see this right here, a Harbinger
Yeah.
self-help workburk.
Yeah.
That's the parentheses. It's right after the title.
Ah, I see.
Here's another one. Let it go. Da, da, da. There you have it in parentheses.
I see.
Okay.
That's very helpful. So I put that after my title, you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
Uh-huh.
so much.
Yeah,
That's
you're
really
welcome.
been
helpful.
seeing a lot more of that lately. That explains why you're seeing a lot of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Now, a
And like
new,
I said, it can help you to explain it better or to just bring in more people. Or maybe, like I said, this one is, saying it one way. Maybe if they said this one is create a happy life, but maybe if they want to go the other way, they'd want to put the word, like I said, burnout in there because this is a bestseller or something.
Yeah, I'm wondering if even like prevent burnout
Mm-hmm.
would be good, because I would
Mm.
think prevention may be
Maybe
something that
prevention.
appeals to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Maybe
that's the other thing.
prevention.
Now, here's another tip is you get to see what everybody's done so that you don't do the same thing. And I cannot stress that enough. How many times people come to me and they've got a title and they've been holding on to that title for months and months and years sometimes, and it's
Mhm.
already taken. Somebody's already done that. You don't want to
Yeah.
have a title that somebody else already has, because then a confused mind doesn't buy if they start seeing, all these, you know, 2 titles, 3 titles. I've seen work balance with, you know, there was like 10 of them, I think, or, you know, how to be happy. There's a ton of them. And then somebody goes to the page and then you don't buy. I mean, this just happened to me yesterday with the Wall Street Journal, not the Wall Street Journal. What is it? The Washington Post. I love the Washington Post. I want to read it. So I had a subscription. I can never get on the darn site. Every time I would go there, it wouldn't work. So I canceled it. So now they're doing a Black Friday special. And I'm like, I would really love to get it again. So I go on the page and it says, you know, $1 offer. And so I go there and then it says this offer and this offer and this offer. And I go, oh, too many offers. I don't know which one. And I left. You know, that's what people do. You know, they'll leave. So never get so attached to a title that it's like, that has to be my title, because if you go there and it's taken, let it go and find something else. And a lot of times what that does is it makes you have to get more creative too, because the
Ellen,
other
let
ones
me
are
ask
already
you this.
taken.
If you don't mind me interjecting,
Yeah.
like, I'm just wondering, you know, that's fascinating about the parentheses. Like,
Mhm.
I would have never known that those are like keywords actually.
Mhm.
Now, what people write though in parentheses, it's not just like a word. It's actually, these words are embedded in a phrase.
It can be words. I have seen
So
it
it
where
can
it's
just be
words. I'm
words?
not seeing
Oh,
any of these, but I have seen it where it'll
it's
just
just words.
say,
Like,
yeah,
okay.
or
Yeah,
it'll
because,
say
Oh, there
something
I
like, oh,
am. There's my
maybe,
book.
huh?
There I am.
Yeah, yeah.
You see
oh,
my book?
no, oh,
Scroll down.
there it is. Oh,
Wait, no, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I saw it a minute. Hold on. Keep going.
There.
There I am.
there it
Yay.
is. Don't miss the
Don't
stress.
mess with stress. There you go. Get some 5-star reviews ready. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me, maybe I can find one under relationships, because that's a big
Yeah,
category.
can
Let's
I
see if
ask,
we
like,
can.
I'm wondering too, like, if, for example, you know, Jill, it being you're giving the example, if Jill was to put in there, like, prevent burnout, women's recipe for preventing burnout or something like that, you know,
Mhm.
women prevent burnout.
Right, because she
Like,
wants
if
women in
she,
there.
yeah, now if she puts that in parentheses,
Mhm.
like, what's your thought on, like, would men then not go there, or they think, oh, well, this
Yeah.
is for women?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you put women in there, chances are you're going to sell mostly to women. Yeah.
Is there an advantage to putting that in there, like to kind of really
It
focus in on?
depends on, I mean, if you really only want to work with women, then put the women in. You know,
Are
I mean,
you a
there are,
coach
They
as
say
well?
to niche it. That's what happens. They say you can't do it for. I hate that rule. You can't do it for everybody.
yeah,
They say to niche.
that's
Are
true.
you a coach as well, Jill?
No, I'm a physician actually.
Oh,
I'm
And
trying to
Christine,
find you guys one that has this, but I'm not finding one. But
I
you know,
have a,
like here's one. Like this doesn't have it in parentheses, but let's just say that this was in parentheses, okay? Just for argument's sake. A year of positive thinking, daily inspiration, wisdom, and courage. Now, if you had a different subtitle, you could then put those 3 words into parentheses, for instance. Do you see what I'm saying? And then it would just be words.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Boy, you
Yeah,
know, when I'm
because
not looking for it, I see those all the time. And now because I'm looking for it.
There's one
you
right
know,
there. Happier now.
oh,
Even the
Yeah, but
difference.
this one is more what Christina was saying. It's a phrase, even the difficult ones. Yeah.
you know, because Ellen, I was thinking too, you know, as you were like talking about like a challenge and stuff, like I was thinking afterwards, like, wouldn't it make sense to say like, you know, just throwing out these words, but
Mm-hmm.
instead of writing a book, wouldn't it be more appealing to say like write your first novel now or something, like, because wouldn't that appeal to novelists? Because I'm thinking
Well,
too, well,
yeah,
if it was like
if you're
write a
trying to teach
book.
people, or yeah, if you're trying to teach people to write a novel, which I'm not. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm
which I'm
thinking
not. She
somehow,
says I'm not.
because
Yeah.
I was applying that whole concept of an avatar, like somehow to me, as I was thinking about it, like book seems so like it could include anybody, you know, like
Well,
how,
no,
like,
if people are doing it to do a novel, they would say to do a novel. For the avatar that I'm in and the niche that I'm in, people are writing nonfiction books. It's like a given.
oh, it's
You do a lot of
nonfiction.
memoirs,
Okay.
Ellen, too, or just nonfiction business mostly?
I'm sorry, what?
You do a lot of memoirs as well, or is it
I
just
have
not?
done quite a few memoirs for people. Yeah, memoirs are interesting because, as you probably know, you know, they want to market them as a memoir, and if you're not famous, forget it. I mean, no, you're not going to get found under a memoir. So with
Yeah, it has
memoirs,
to be something different, very
yeah,
different.
but so with memoirs, what I try to do, and I will say a lot of them do have life lessons in there. That is kind of why they're writing them, right? So when that's the case, then I try to pull out of them more like what the life lessons are, and then how can we do it so that it gives us those keywords and those categories, because you got to get out of
Right.
memoirs.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it's just not going to work.
I've got
It's
three
too.
very weird memoirs that one is done, one I'm in almost done with, and one I'm writing for
Mm-hmm.
brother to me. I had a very dear friend pass away this summer who was a six-time Grammy Award winning
Mm-hmm.
engineer. And so people do want to hear his story because he helped build one of the most iconic studios in New York City. So that's different. Like that story
Who
is,
do you mind sharing?
yeah, sure. Steve Boyer he's like my
No.
brother.
Oh,
He's,
yeah, I don't know him. Yeah.
he was one of the chief engineers at and record producers at the power station in
Well, I was
Manhattan.
more in I was LA, but
Yeah, he's in New
yeah.
York. So
Yeah.
they built the
Yeah.
power. He built a lot of the studios and everything.
Mm-hmm.
With a woman right now whose sister was abducted and murdered at 13, and she was 15 at the time, which would have been a sad story and not as interesting, sadly enough, as it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Through DNA, they found the guy 32 years later.
Wow.
And they've been on Dateline. They've been on,
Yeah.
so
I was
she's
just
got,
going to say, when nothing else is on, which is a lot, and you're in
yeah.
lockdown like we have been since March, um, every once in a while I'll watch Dateline. It's just fascinating, some of those. Yeah.
Yeah, they did a great job. They did the whole thing
Yeah.
about a half ago. They found the murderer, and he was a one-off thing. It
Yeah.
wasn't like he was a defender. And she's got a lot of bills put in about DNA collection and all that. She really saved a lot of lives.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she's got a shot at publishing that traditionally because of all the attention to this story.
Right. Yeah. But again,
Other
it goes
circles.
back to, do you want to give up all that money?
She does. She's got agents interested in it already. We just finished the book, and we're
Well,
on the last
just
chapter.
make sure that they really understand what they're getting into, because a lot of times
I
people
know.
think they want a publishing deal and they don't understand how little money they're going to make doing it.
I know.
And they
I know.
also think that publishers are going to do a lot more marketing for them than they're ever going to do.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I
And
think a
some
lot
of them, huh?
No, I don't know. She's gonna go out with it on her own. My job's to write the book and get out of the way.
Yeah.
But honor whatever she thinks she needs to do. But
And one of the things that I find one of the things that I find very disturbing too is that sometimes they'll dangle a carrot that implies that they're going to market, and they're really not marketing. And I've seen this over and over. I had somebody come to me, and it was a package deal where they were going to do editing and formatting and all that stuff, and a funnel. And I said to him, what are you going to do with a funnel? You don't have a platform. You don't have the money to run ads to this funnel. What's a funnel going to do for you? You know what I mean? But it sounds good. And so, he's going to spend thousands of dollars on this. I said, I wouldn't if I were you, because you're not in the place to utilize it.
Are you saying it's better to self-publish than to publish with a publisher?
I'm not saying anything in that regard. I'm saying everybody has to make their own decision, but it's a whole lot better if you make a decision based on reality versus the dream or the, of how you think it's going to be, when it's not going to be that way.
You gotta have some amazing story for
you have to have an amazing story, and you have, and mostly they want people who have a platform. This was actually started in the music business, and you came in late, but I was in the music business. I'm a Grammy-nominated songwriter and a song producer.
Wow.
And so what happened was that that I wrote this song with this guy, and he was actually signed to a major record company, but he wasn't one of their top guys. And my little independent publisher actually ended up getting us the cut that got the Grammy nomination, not his. And and then what happened was, in the overall business, was the Dave Matthews Band. They could not get arrested. And so what they did was they built their following first, and then every record company wanted them. And that became the model after they did that.
Sorry, I'm in New York, so I haven't eaten, so I'm just making my dinner.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
That's okay.
Okay. Hey, where are you, Ellen?
San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, it's earlier. So,
Ellen,
yeah.
there are two key points that you made, that you've been making, that as long as I've been in this business over 50 years, number one, there is a business of writing,
Hmm.
and everyone who has an idea does not want to understand that when you become an author, once you write, you're a writer, then an author, you are now in the business of writing, especially after you publish.
Yeah.
But it is the key element of understanding terminology, information, what is a contract, and reading. You still have to read what somebody else writes, and especially in terms of a contract, whether you're self-publishing or whether you have an agent. But
Yeah.
understanding how important it is that you now are the brand as the author, and it's not just about your book. You're right. It's about the platform. It's about the content, but you also need to be well informed. And I'm finding so many authors and writers, and I fill in between what Lil does and what I do, but I also do a lot of marketing for new authors.
Hmm.
And even the older authors have lost sight of what's happening to their business, and many of them are losing business and not getting getting the money that they need, that they really
Hmm.
should have, because they chose to allow somebody else to manage their business, just like in the entertainment industry.
Right.
And you've got to become, and Jill, this applies to medicine too, because you got to become your own advocate. You have to know and learn. The more that you know and learn and you absorb, the better chance you have of your book going elsewhere. That book becomes a platform, and
Right.
other opportunities open up. But it is really up to each person to be as intellectual property owned and oriented as
Savvy.
you can be.
Savvy.
Absolutely. The more
Yeah.
savvy you are, the easier it will be, whether you just do one or you end up doing, you write for a lifetime.
Are you a ghostwriter, Cher? Or are you Cher?
I've been a writer since I was first published at the age of 10. I'm now 69. So
Good for you.
my
That's
whole
good.
trajectory has, yeah, and my career has been as a writer in so many areas. But I'm also a coach, a consultant, and I do ghostwriting. I also am a journalist. So I'm a writer. I put
Okay.
words together to create stories. But
Very good.
but Ellen's right. There's so much involved,
Yeah.
and even before online and social platforms, the content and the process hasn't changed. All we're doing now is just adding online content, because that's all social media is another platform for marketing. And there's a big difference when we talk about what the agents will do in terms of marketing, promotions, understand the difference. How does that relate to sales? And more importantly, how does that relate to PR and all of the different
Right. Or, even
speaking
these,
opportunities? Right.
yeah, even these things like, Publishizer. Publishizer
Yeah.
is a site now where you can crowdfund your book. And
Yeah.
it's really interesting because I helped a client do that, and she didn't need to do Publishizer for the money. She did it because they act as an agent, and you have to prove that you can sell thousands of books first, and then they will send it out to all these people, to see if they want to give you a deal. So, I mean, right there, it's saying you prove to us you can sell books first, then we'll talk about giving you a deal. And that's really the mentality of the business now. And
Yeah.
I also got a few clients from an event where they weren't happy with something that had happened with the program that they'd been going through. But what one of them said to me was, I didn't read the contract. Right? I didn't read the contract. Yeah, and as it turned out, there were things in the contract that did allow her to move forward. I don't know what ultimately happened with it, but the point is yeah, you've got to read the contract. You've got to know what's in there, and you've also got to know like what you can do on your own versus getting a publisher, because even though they're not going to do a lot for you, I don't even know if I should assume this, but I mean, I think some of them will give you some guidance as to what you could do, but most of them still really want you to have that all figured out first. And I was very lucky because very early on, I did an expo and I had several speakers on, and at that point they knew way more than I did. I hardly knew anything. I knew how to write a book. That was it. I didn't know hardly anything about marketing yet. And one of my speakers was Jim Edwards. And one of the things that Jim said that always stuck with me and that has served me well is that if you're going to be a successful author, you have to put on your marketing hat first and your writing hat second.
Right.
And very few authors do that.
Yes.
You know, the people that are here and are writers, and we're very entrenched in the business, we know that. But most authors, when they come to me, and probably when they come to you guys too, oh, I wrote a book, oh, I'm writing a book, oh, I'm stuck. Well, did you do the research? No. Did you do the book research? No. Do you know what your keywords are? No. Do you know what your categories are? So, Jill, you actually did great that you even know enough to have done that, because most authors don't.
Yeah.
They don't even know, to do that until
It
they.
depends on what they want to do with the book. Like Jill's a doctor. Most people that write a book want to be a coach. They want. Like, I'm working with a woman who's writing a book on divorce.
Mhm.
And we've clearly said, I said to her, because I'm coaching her through her own business. It's not the book. She's a strategy client. So we're
Yeah.
building an engine. But I said, who are you going to talk to? Men are not going to talk to you. I'm sorry, but I really don't think very many men are coming to a woman about divorce issues. They're already angry. They're in a
At
divorce.
women, yeah.
That's like,
Yeah, right.
but she's getting lawyers interested in utilizing the book, which is great because it's workbook. I mean, she
Yeah.
did a job, and we helped her build the rest of the book out. But then we're doing all our own stuff, like we just beautiful logo. I found a great domain name for her, and we're building her websites and all the stuff, all the whole engine. But she knows what she wants to be. At the end of the day, she wants to quit her day-to-day job and coach women through: should I get a divorce or not? Should I leave this relationship? I think you were at the Suzanne Evans thing, right?
I was. Mm-hmm.
Remember Eva Medalik, the very beautiful African-American woman?
Oh, yeah.
Her husband didn't divorce. He cheated on her, and she still stayed with him because she felt she had responsibility in it. And they went, and actually, so I have her interviewing. She's going to be one of the interviews because I'm hoping that Leslie will save some marriages.
Yeah.
So we can set some work where she'll actually.
But some doctors want to do it for their
divorce.
patients. I mean, I have worked with doctors who wrote their books really for their patients, or
Right,
as a matter of fact, I'm working with one right now. I'm working with a cardiologist right now on his book. Yeah.
So,
And I think too, you need to, and this goes not just for Jill and all of us online, but when you have an idea, what do you need to plan out what you would like to see happen,
Right.
and not, oh, I want to write a book.
You're right. And that's, yeah.
what's the point of the book?
I make all my clients go through Toastmasters, or we have a public speaking workshop, and it is very interactive, and they have to do the work. One of the things that I find is that when you write, especially even on a local level, someone will want you to come speak. They cannot speak, don't know how to speak. They wrote a book, but
Take the stage.
Right.
I was completely.
Yeah.
Karen Marshall, I thought she's a publicist. She does all their publishing, and she is a very poor speaker. No offense on a personal level, she's a lady.
Jill, listen, well, I agree.
Oh dear God!
You're
supposed to be a big publisher. You should be able to carry through a small.
But keep
5
in mind,
minutes, you're lost. That's
I'm
not
an
good.
editor. There are a lot of editors at the larger levels I found over the years who they're not public speakers because they edit. They
just
sit
sit
there
there.
every day and edit the script. But the other thing I find is, how do I read my book? Oh, you can read for 5 minutes. I can tell you, I have seen every author, over 80 authors in the last year here locally and in the region, go to events, and they stand up or they sit down and there's no eye contact. Wait a minute, let me read. So it's learning all of the nuances that Ellen's talking about, that writers who become authors or journalists or whatever, those are other secondary skills that they need to learn. If they don't want to do it, then that's fine, but it does impact book sales.
Right.
So are there any more questions, or should I go on? Yeah.
People have been using the word platform. Like, what's the operational definition of that?
Well,
you've used it, and Sherry used
yeah, well,
it.
Building a platform is like building your stage. It's building your own stage, right? That's what a platform is. So I mean, and it encompasses like your community, you know, who your community is, what your brand is, and how you stand in the online world and the offline world. That's your platform.
What kind of book are you writing, Christina?
Oh, I'm maybe a memoir novel.
Oh,
Is in
what?
my mind. A memoir novel.
Memoir
Hi,
novel?
yeah, hybrid.
Like a kind of hybrid? Okay. So I think, yeah, because like if you're gonna like if you're going to do, what are you gonna do with the book, basically? So most people don't write a book, unfortunately, just because they hope that people are gonna read it. Like fiction, maybe yes. People hope to write fiction. See people like, but if it's a nonfiction book or it's a memoir, when you want to do something with it, you're going to be a speaker. You're going to impact women. You're going to impact men. You're going to talk about divorce. What is it you're going to do? So you have
Yeah.
like
No, I hear you. And
something to stand on. Who is your community? Who are the people you're going to speak to?
Right. Well, for me, writing a memoir novel, it would be a personal feat. It would be, I maybe even use a pseudonym as the name. I mean, it wouldn't
Yeah,
really be to like become famous or anything like
right.
that. But just to be able to sort things out, I think writing really does help do that.
Mhm.
But
Absolutely.
also, I have been, in respect to your question, like have been thinking of like I want to do some online events, and I want to create like a book or just something now like books are done in modules on different platforms. That's the way I use the
Yes.
word platforms.
Yes.
And like when we're writing, we think about a book, but there's so many other ways in which to
It's all just
compose those
repurposing.
thoughts. Oh, repurposing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
repurposing and then taking the same information. You can take the same information from a book and then just expand on it in a deeper level. Then,
Yeah.
you know,
A
you
lot of
just,
people.
what is the one highlight, I guess, or that big accomplishment in your career, working with authors, that was, or even your first wonderful success, but also the flip side is,
mhm.
what was there any, semi disaster or
Oh man, oh yeah, absolutely.
okay, or something that did not go well, so that people can see both sides of
Oh,
what you.
absolutely. Well, first of all, I did 3 summit. They weren't called summits in those days. I called them expos. People who know me, I even sometimes people say, "When are you bringing back the virtual ebook expo?" Never, But anyway, um, yeah. Well, I made $20,000 at one. I made 16,000 another one, and I lost money on the third one and got sued by my VA. So yeah, that was a disaster.
Boy.
She lost, but I did get sued. So that was fun. And I also learned on that one that I was terrible at delegating because I guess I wasn't clear and uh, I didn't stay on top of it enough. And so when the whole thing was done, I realized they put up the wrong sales page and that was why there were no sales. And it was a mess. It was a mess. So, and not only that, but the whole thing had changed of how people were doing it. Like when I started doing it, they were charging more money, and then all of a sudden it was free. And then if you wanted the upsell, but I didn't get the memo, so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do that. So that was a real disaster. And then I've been very fortunate with my boot camp. I've had I can count on one hand the number of refunds I've had, and I've done the workshop 30 times. But having said that, I had one guy who was a psycho, an absolute psycho. And, we do it, I do it where it's a training, but then there's also, they can buy a package where we do the editing, the formatting, the book cover and publish it and everything, and, help them do the whole 9 yards after they've written the book. And this guy I guess he just discovered Fiverr and said, why am I paying you all this money when I could have gotten a book for book cover for $5, right?
Oh
And I said, you're
God.
not paying me for the book cover, you're paying me for my expertise for, at that point, I think it was probably a decade of expertise. So anyway, and then he just kept emailing me and threatening me and said he was going to come to California and sue me and just all this stuff. And eventually he stopped, but it
Oh,
was scary. I mean, it made me not even want to go talk live. I was afraid this guy would show up and do something crazy. He was,
oh,
Wow.
he was a nutcase.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so those kinds of things have happened on the downside. On the upside, I have amazing clients and testimonials. Doing the #1 bestseller launches. My best client, we got into #1 in 6 categories. I have another one we got in 5 categories. I have another one that stayed on for 3 years from the one book. He just did his second book, and I helped him with that one a little bit, but not like the first one. And then I've had people just do amazing things from writing the book. I mean, this is why it became Books Open Doors, because I just see the doors open after they write the book with us, you know? So one of my clients ended up on stage right before Barack Obama at an event.
Wow.
I have another client who went to a live conference and met Kevin Harrington there, which was his intention. And Kevin brought him up on stage and they talked about his book for a long time. And then he started mentoring him. He got asked to speak in Singapore. And the last time, his name is Dennis G. Shaver, and I actually did a podcast with him on my podcast at booksbusinessabundance.com/podcast. And what he did was, that was a lifetime dream for him, but also he said he was able to raise his rates. You know, he's making more money because of the book. And his was the one that was stayed on there for 3 years. So yeah, we've had some amazing things happen. I've had people get magazine covers because of the book. I have one client, Stephanie, who sold 4,000 books her first weekend. And she said to me that some people were telling her they bought the book just because they loved the title, and I came up with the title.
What was the title?
The title is called Friend Power. And
You sold 4,000 on Amazon?
yeah, I don't. Well, she did like a hybrid book launch, so it was partly Amazon, I think, and partly just through her own network. But what she said was, when she came to me, it was something like, you know, how the people closest to you affect you, or something like that.
Sorry, I'm just kidding.
And you know, and one of the things that I'm really good at is just listening to people as they talk about their book, because a lot of times people already have the title, but they don't know it's the title. Like they can't hear it. Like they're just talking about it. Just like with me, when we were rebranding for Books Open Doors, I didn't know Books Open Doors was the thing I should have. To me, that was just something to say. But my partner, who's a branding expert, said, basically what happened was all the normal ones were taken, like all the things that describe what we do were taken. So we had to like think outside the box. And then he said, well, what's the result that people get? And I said, well, the Books Open Doors. He goes, that's it. So I couldn't see it, because sometimes you're just too close, you know, to see it. And that's why people have coaches, because they need somebody outside themselves who can see it. So with Stephanie's, it was the same thing. It was like, I could see that her book was about friend power. She's like, yeah, that's it, you know. So sometimes it's just being able to encapsulate and really listen to what people are saying, you know.
It's like magic. It sort of comes to you. It's really weird. You know?
Yeah, it's a combination of being open to the universe and being
I love doing titles too. Titles always make
Yeah.
me happy to come up
I
with
know, I
titles.
love titles. Titles are just, but they can also just, coming up with a title for this challenge has been a challenge.
Always is.
How do you describe, I guess, qualify in terms of numbers for your authors? You know, what makes when they look at, okay, I'm a best-selling author, what is that? Is there a baseline number, or
I
how
think
do you
I think
evaluate them?
Yeah, I think there's two things. I mean, one is, you know, like when I first started doing books and selling books, Kindle didn't exist. So we were selling from our site, but you couldn't rank because there was nothing to rank, right? So once it started, then it was like, damn, I don't want to do this, because we were making $29, $47 for ebooks that we're now getting $3 for, you know, so that was not fun. But eventually it's like, well, you got to get the ranking. You just got to get the ranking. So, you know, one of the things is the ranking itself. So just that you can say, I'm a #1 bestselling author, no one can take it away from you. There are levels of #1 bestseller, because it's like 10,000 to be, I've been told, because I haven't done it, but a New York Times bestseller, and something like 6,000 for USA Today or Wall Street Journal. So there's different levels of #1 bestseller. But I remember one time when I got my client to #1, and he's the one who ended up on stage with Barack Obama. But when we did it, he said, well, now I'm a #1 bestselling author, and no one can ever take that away from me. And it's like being the heavyweight champion of the world, because it's always going to come after my name.
That's
You
cool.
know, and so, And even though people think, oh, everybody's writing a book now, the truth is not everybody's writing a book. I mean, 81% of people, they say want to write a book, and 1 or 2% actually will.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it seems like everybody's writing a book because we live in a bubble on Facebook and LinkedIn where it feels like everybody's
We
writing
go
a
to
book.
conferences where everybody's
Right,
writing
and
a
we go to
book.
conferences where everybody's writing a book.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
the speak conference.
Yeah,
They're all trying to write
yeah,
books.
yeah.
Our influential circles are all, we attract that which we do and have. So that's why we feel like everybody in our
Right,
circle
right,
is all writing books, right?
right.
But
Jill,
there are
you,
room for a lot of coaches like all of us that do coach some. Coaching is my way back thing. I don't do a lot of coaching, but the few people I do. But there's everybody kind of there's somebody that works for somebody else. Not everybody's gonna feel like I'm the person they should work
right, right.
with, or Ellen or whatever. Everybody has something they feel comfortable with, or the kind of person they feel comfortable with.
Yeah. Jill had a question.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So Ellen, for example, I did a pre-launch back in August before I finished the book, and I hit #1 in a few different categories. Now, I have the screenshot. Does that make me a number
Yeah,
one bestseller?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though I hit it, didn't stay there, but I
Yeah,
hit
no,
it.
I know. It's just, people decide for
doesn't stay there.
themselves. It decides for themselves. Like if you feel comfortable with that, then use it. If you don't, I mean, like I have a client who, was so excited she got #1. And the first thing somebody said to her was, oh, well, that doesn't mean anything, and tried to burst her bubble. Well, that got her on a magazine cover, and so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you don't remain a #1 bestseller forever.
Right. I mean, even the really big ones don't remain there
Right.
forever. I mean,
Exactly, yeah.
other than, I mean, Scott Peck, the story is, the road less traveled. I mean, he was on there for 12 years. And the reason he fell off is because he died. So, I mean, as long as he marketed it, he was a bestseller,
Yeah.
so that's the deal.
You're not
Anyway,
anymore in debt forever.
yeah. So are there any more questions? Otherwise, I do want to at least share a few little tidbits of things that.
Just in terms of what we were talking about. So to say, I'm a best-selling author,
Mhm.
that can be mean #1, #2, #3, or what range is it to say not #1 bestseller, but I'm a best-selling author?
Well, I mean, again, the best-selling author, it's 1 to 100, really.
Oh, it's 1 to 100,
It's
really?
1 to
Oh, wow.
100 on Amazon. I mean, that's when they
really?
do their list, that's what it is. But then you can, if you're in the top 10, you can say top 10. If you get to #1, then you just say #1.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Oh, thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else? I mean, I don't want to push
wanted
my
to say
agenda on
thank
people.
you.
If you would rather just talk and have me answer more
No,
questions, I'm happy to do that.
I just want to say thank you. And
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm so excited to hear what you have to say, Ellen.
Okay.
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so this year has been really interesting for me, like for most people. And I really got into education mode, but even before COVID. I signed up for one program in January, and that was Suzanne Evans. And then I signed up for another one in April, which was with Jeff Walker, Product Launch Formula. Now, I had done 30 launches over the years just on my signature book writing boot camp, but I just wanted to, again, just up level. And so those were the two that I really focused on this year. But there have also been several challenges that I've gone through on different things, and some live events that are now live but virtual, that I never would have gotten to go to before because I wouldn't have traveled there and done that whole thing because my husband is too old and won't travel. So, so I got to do a lot of things that way. But some things just have really stuck with me and have helped me to elevate my thinking. And I thought maybe I would just share a little bit of that, if that's okay.
I can hear. I'm just going to my stove. I can hear.
Okay. So one of the things that Larry Winget said at Take the Stage, he did it with Suzanne Evans. He talked about how willingness is everything. And, they talk about, like, from The Great Gatsby, the haves and the have-nots. But what he said was, it's not the haves and the have-nots, it's the wills and the will-nots. And that just hit me over the head. Because when I started my business, I was gung-ho. I did everything. I was even in a program where we were challenged to do an expo, and out of like over 100 people, I was the only one who did it. So I mean, if whatever I was told to do, I would just do it. But over time and with age, because it's now 16 years later, I didn't start my business till I was 51. I found that I wasn't willing to do certain things anymore, but also that I had gotten in my own way with my unwillingness to do certain things. And that was it was a big wake up call, for me. And so I thought, well, maybe other people need to hear that too. So, if you're telling yourself, I can't do it, I'm not ready, I'm exhausted, I don't have enough time. And of course, we also all see these as objections, right? When we're on coaching calls with prospective clients, right? And it's, I don't have the time, I have to talk to my husband, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't know enough, whatever it is, right? So when you really understand that it's none of those things ultimately, it's ultimately you have to own that you're just not willing to do it.
Don't work.
And and that's like a bucket of cold water in my opinion, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And until you really own that, you can't really move forward. So that's
Profound.
huh?
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
profound. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I found it very profound. That's why I really wanted to share it. And then the other thing is that the hard path is the way. It's like people are always looking for shortcuts. And, like I can give you some hacks, like I was talking about looking for bestsellers and all that. But really, the hard way is the path. It's like, and it goes back to the willingness, but it also goes back to discipline because I know, like for me, I've had a pattern, and it's not in everything. Like I've done a whole lot in my career that worked, but I've also done many things like most people where I bought a program and I never finished it, or I got so far and then I hit a roadblock, and rather than getting the right coach or having enough money to finish it or whatever at the time, I just dropped it and did something else. And one of the things that happened to me with was my podcast. I took a class on podcasting over 10 years ago with Paul Colligan, and it was a great course, but it was overwhelming. There was so much, and I was so confused, and there was no coaching with it. There was no way to get any help. And so, like I said, a confused mind doesn't do anything. So I didn't do anything. Well, I started my podcast 2 years ago, and then I was kicking myself that I didn't start it 10 years ago, right? When I did it in the first place. So I really, again, owning that the hard path is the way, and that when you hit that block, stick with it anyway. Just stick with it anyway, because your intuition was right, that it was something you wanted or something that you felt you needed. And then when it got hard, you didn't have the willingness to get through it. So again, for me, hard truths, but to get to the next level is about being honest with myself. And again, if that helps anybody else, then that's why I'm sharing it. So the other thing is, if you're feeling like a failure, you're not a failure. You just didn't do the work to make it happen. And I love that, because I know for me, there have definitely been times where I felt like a failure, and in the early years, people didn't talk about there's no such thing as failure. You're just learning the lesson. And sometimes I didn't feel like I was learning a lesson. I felt like I kept getting the same thing over and over because I wasn't learning the lesson. But I wasn't learning the lesson because I didn't have the right coach. And I couldn't see. You can't see what your blind spots are. You need somebody else. But if you just don't find the right person, then that's a problem. And so I didn't understand that there are coaches and there are coaches, and you really have to spend some time with the coaches that you're thinking of hiring and see, do I resonate
Like a
with this?
psychiatrist.
Yeah. Like, do I resonate with this person? But also, what's their business model? And do I want what they have? Do I want my model to be like theirs or not? Because I studied with people where they reached a point where I go, I don't want that. I don't want what they're doing. So how are they going to coach me to what I want when they're coaching me to what they know works for them? And that isn't what I want. So
Suzanne's a great example. Suzanne is an amazing coach, but she's not for everybody. There's going to be people who do great with her. Other people are just, they get done, they're done, they do something else. But what she knows, boy, she's great at what she does. No question.
Yeah, well, and not only that, but her thing is that you have to do one-on-one first. I did not do one-on-one first. I did a group first,
Right.
and I still made a 6-figure income in 2.5 years.
Right.
So maybe I would have made it faster if I'd done it her way. I mean, but again, this was many years ago. But the bottom line was I didn't do what she said, and it still works. So it's what works for you. It's what works for you. So I really don't like when somebody says this is the way it is,
Right.
because
Yeah.
there's no such thing. There's no such thing. So so that's important. But the other thing is that when I reached a certain point in my business, it started to become chaotic. And I thought, oh, it's just me, and I'm failing at this, and it's a mess, and what's wrong with me, and all that. Well, we got a book at Take the Stage that was The E-Myth from Michael Gerber, and I had never read that book. And that book just blew my mind. And I wish that somebody had said to me, before you really get serious about your business, you have to read this book. Okay, because one of the reasons that I signed up to work with Suzanne was because I felt like I needed a kick in the butt on the business side, because my business had always been kind of by the seat of my pants, being a creative person, doing what I felt, going with my intuition, doing, which way the wind blows. And I realized that you can't really have a very high-end multi-million-dollar business and run your business that way, right? So, anyway, I read his book, and now I just want to tell people that if you're going to have a business online, read the damn book. That's all I
Who's
can.
the author
That's all I
again,
can say.
Helen?
Huh?
The author's
The
name
E-Myth.
again?
The
The
E-Myth.
author's name?
Michael
Michael
Gerber. Yeah,
Michael Gerber?
Michael
Yeah.
Gerber.
Ellen, that's been around for years.
I know.
Do you think it's still viable?
It is the Bible. It is the Bible. It is the blueprint. It is the way.
Really?
I mean, yeah, because basically, I don't want to spend too much time on this. People read the book, but here's the thing. He just went through the whole thing, and it was like, oh my God, this is my life. And he was just showing how it was so chaotic, because you start a business and then you have more work. And so you bring this person on, and then you still have more work. Then you bring another person on, but there's no accountability because they don't have specific jobs and they don't have job descriptions. And all of a sudden it's just a big chaotic mess, and things start falling apart. And it's like, oh, I've been there. And so what he says is, this is the very short version. What you have to do is you have to vision the business that you want before you create the business. And you lay it out on paper, your vision and what it's going to look like. And he gives you a map. So you don't have to like pick this all out of the air. He tells you, you need a VP of this and a VP of that, and you need a president.
Organizational chart.
Yeah, the
You need an
organizational chart. Exactly.
I build those for people. That's what
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
absolutely. We just built a piece of software that we are going to be licensing that actually will do that for you.
Oh my God. Well, to see you,
Freaking
the
awesome.
perfect person to be on this call, because I love you.
Yeah, our other developer, or one of our lead developers is, we have a couple of developers in the team.
Okay.
A software developer, and he built this thing where all your vendors can be in there. Everybody
Oh
works.
my God. I'm telling
Rates that
you.
they work at, whether they work by the hour or by the project. They put the hours in. They can only see their projects. They can't see the other guys. I mean, it's quite something. So
Okay, well, we need to talk more about that, because as I said,
it's really cool.
Now that I'm an evangelist of this, I want everybody to get all the help they can get doing this, so that you do not go through what I went through for the last 7 years.
Ellen, I reviewed Michael's book before it came out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was what I should have written 25 years ago. And when he wrote it, I sat there and said, okay, but you're right. It's on my first list for every one of my clients. If they don't read it, I don't do business with them, because part of what I choose to do, like you do, follows that guide. And if they don't understand what we're saying, then we're wasting our time.
Right. So the idea is that once you know what those jobs are, and then you've got a job description for each one. In the beginning, you're still doing the jobs, but as soon as you can get out of one, now you have an operation manual.
Take a hat off.
And it's always done exactly the same way, and that's how you create order instead of chaos. So it's super, super, super important. It just is. So anyway, so that's the deal with that. And so those were the really deep things that I learned this year. I mean, I've learned a ton, but those are the things that I really think are, important. The other thing that I wanted to just share, and I'm only going to share this with people that are on this call. So once I do this, I'm going to turn it off the recording before I do it, but I'm going to give you guys something that I think is also really important, and it's really helped me to rebuild my list, because one thing that happens is over time, if you have a list like I did, it kind of gets stalled out and you don't have as many people as you'd like to keep, whether you're coaching or selling books or whatever. So anyway, so I discovered something that just worked for me, and so I'm going to share that with you guys. But before I do that, I just want to mention that I am going to be doing a 5-day bestseller challenge. And in that challenge, I'm going to walk everybody through how to get motivated, picking the best topic for their book, positioning the book properly, finding the best keywords, which I talked about here too, and how to create your outline, and so that they'll be ready to actually write their book after the challenge. So anybody who's interested in that, I'm having a terrible time with Infusionsoft, so I don't have an opt-in for it yet. But if you want to get on that list, you can just send an email to me at ellen@booksopendoors.com, and I'll get you on the list. Or you can text me 818-970-6132, or you can message me on Facebook. But anyway, that's going to be coming up. So I'm excited because I've never done a challenge, but I've been through several of them this year, and I just find that they're really helpful because you actually take action and get something done. So that's
How much is that, Ellen?
free.
Oh.
It's free.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. So any other questions before I shut this off? Anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, it was so nice meeting everybody on this call.
Uh-huh.
Is there a way to get, if it's okay with you, contact information?
Yeah, chat. Everybody want to put their information in the
Yeah.
chat? We can do that. Yep.
Let's see.
Let's do that.
Great.
Where's the chat there? Where's the chat? I don't see the chat.
Oh, here it is.
At the bottom. It's at the
Oh, there it
bottom
is.
of the.
Oh, it's under more. Okay.
Thank you, Ellen. This was very good.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Christina, who's the one who told me about you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy right now. I don't know if people are paying attention, not paying attention. We know they're home, but it's just crazy. So who knows? Who knows?
Well, it was very generous of you, Ellen.
I was missing contact with my peeps. It's like after a while, this COVID thing. It's said I got to do a call. Got to get back into this. Okay, so that's awesome. So everybody's in here. Okay.
Great. Wow. So many different ideas, and everyone's got like their own area of expertise, and there's overlap. And
there's.
Gosh, how wonderful.
The other thing that I did want to tell you is that, Jill, because you may not know this, I'm sure you probably don't, but I do have a Black Friday special thing going, and one of the things that's in there that you might be interested in is keyword software. So there is a thing in there. It's a software. It's not mine. It's somebody else's. But I am an affiliate, and I did give it an extra bonus for people who go through my link in there. And I can send you the link, but it's www.booksopendoors.com/Black-Friday, and I'll put that in there as well. But you might want to check that out because, when you get stuck or you just want to go deeper into it, it's software that does that for you.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's books that. Oh wait, what is it again?
www.booksopendoors. I put it in the chat.
Let me see if we get that.
That's where the. Yeah.
I didn't see Cher's contact information.
Well, it's because I'm on my phone and trying to type on my cell phone is a little precarious because I have to shut down, take off my circle.
Okay, well, you could just.
We got
it.
There.
It's now there.
Okay, great.
And Lil, Lil, where are you located?
I'm in Florida.
Oh, cool.
And you?
New York City, Big Apple.
An NYU kid. It's NYU a million years ago.
Ah,
I have lots of buddies up that way still.
oh, cool.
And Jill, one of the things I'll say to you is because I work in the mental health area, that's one of my full-time jobs, is that mental health and terms related to behavioral health will also help you in identifying your key words for your book. And I'm going to probably look at your book because I'm working on reference lists now.
Oh,
Thank you very
awesome.
much.
I'm glad to know about it.
Thank you. Thank you. So
If
much.
anybody wants to read a mentally ill book that I wrote,
Now watch
I was,
it, Will.
I was tasked to write a book about a serial killer.
Oh my
Hey,
God. I can't.
yikes.
Yeah.
It's horrible. So I scared myself, but it's called Warm Bodies, Morgan City, 78, based on a that actually happened in Morgan City, Louisiana in 1978. A killer actually rolled into town to work
No,
for
Oh
him.
my God.
I'm
Actually
too
raped and
scared.
murdered 5 kids. So
I can't
based
bear
on a
to
true
listen to
story.
that.
Very, very much not the story, but it's a fictional about something that actually happened. So
Yeah. I hate to tell you guys, but other than listening to Ellen's podcast, I have this, because I'm working in behavioral health, I've been listening to podcasts of unsolved and unresolved homicides and murders.
Oh
I've
my
listened
God.
to
I love those.
eight different podcasts.
Oh
I'll
my
send you
God.
the ones I'm listening to. They are awesome.
I can't bear. I'm too
Yeah.
sensitive. I just.
I know, me too. I'd be having nightmares for a week. I know.
I'm
Sure,
a triple Pisces. Triple Pisces.
Well, and I listen to them before I go to sleep, and I meditate as an empath. So, but there is so much out there in the podcast area. If you haven't listened to Ellen's podcast, I'm now going back through from season 1, Ellen, and working
Oh,
my way back and forward. And there's a lot of good information on
there
her.
is a ton. I have learned so much just from being the interviewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I was saying before. Everybody does things a little differently, you know? So I
Ellen,
interview people and I hear how they're doing it. Huh?
how do we find your podcast? Where is
Oh,
it
I
located?
can put it on there here.
Yeah, they're really good. Matter of fact, when I started finding them, when I decided I better go back and start to read some other things other than what I was reading, and listening to hers at night and taking notes really helped then, or early in the morning. And I turn my podcast on with my cell phone when I'm driving because it's so, it's audio book, but it's positive information.
Yeah.
Share. How did you find Ellen's podcast? How did you know that she existed? How to find it?
We've been friends for a
God.
long time.
Yeah,
Oh.
we've been friends for a long time. As a matter of fact, I remember Ellen when she was in the entertainment business, because I was involved with entertainment sports marketing for a couple decades, if not more. And just people that we know through National Speakers Association and just over the course of doing business. And she's just
Facebook,
one of my
Facebook,
favorite,
Facebook.
Facebook too. And so she's been one of my favorite people because
Oh, thank
she has
you.
helped so many people.
Oh, thank
And
you.
she does it in a way that she makes it very real. And I think that's the truism of it, is that you don't mince words. You really do provide
No, I
solid.
don't. Some people love it and some people don't like it, and that's just me, you know?
Ellen, that it works for all of us that way.
Yeah,
Some people
yeah.
don't like what we tell them and they want to do it on their own. They want to do it their way, but that's why we do what we do.
Right, exactly. There's something for everybody. Or, you know,
Yeah.
the right person for everybody. Yeah, but oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Oh,
But
I'll have
she's
to check that out. I love podcasts.
oh,
We wrote
Yeah.
we sponsor a crazy one called "Let Your Shit Out." Really fun. We're actually starting to get it onto podcast platforms now. They're just building a little repertoire. They have about 5 or 6 of them up
oh,
now.
that's funny.
But it's
Yeah,
just fun.
no. If you want to
Really
hang out
fun.
with us more in our in the Facebook, I can put that in there too. It's facebook.com/groups/self-publishing community. But that's where Cher's in there,
Yep.
Lil's in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got invited. I guess because of Take the Stage. I would sort of
Yeah.
take the stage.
Yeah, so that's I have such great friendships now with people. My best friends I met on Facebook. And I've now known them for years, you know.
Yep. There's a lot of people that way.
Yeah.
Oh, and ladies, are we? Did you want to tell us some other?
Yeah,
stuff?
I'm going to shut this off, and I'm going to give you one of my little list building hacks. Wait a minute. Okay, so this is the group. If you would like to join us, we'd love to have you. There it is.
Is that your group?
Yeah,
that you
that's my
created?
group. Mm-hmm.
It said Facebook.
Can you see it? There.
Yes.
Okay, why didn't it? Oh, I didn't put www, so it
You know
can't
why?
fit.
Because you also put Facebooks.
Oh, I screwed up.
Maybe
It's
that's why.
Facebook. Yeah, it's facebook.com. Sorry about that. Okay. I can change that before I get off.
Okay.
All right. So, but let's see, if I stop recording, it's not going to screw up the chat though, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Okay.